lends credence to the likelihood of forgeries or concentrated planting efforts. David Wozni wrote, "Dinosaur bones sell for a lot of money at auctions. It is a profitable business. There is pressure for academics to publish papers. Museums are in the business of producing displays that are popular and appealing. Movie producers and the media need to produce material to sell to stay in business. The mainstream media loves to hype alleged dinosaur finds. Much is to be gained by converting a bland, non-dinosaur discovery of a bone of modern origin into an impressive dinosaur find, and letting artists' interpretations and imaginations take the spotlight, rather than the basic, boring, real find."
This is still debate just trying to build on the idea that there's some kind of conspiracy, that there's all of this money motivation to want to make people produce the dinosaur bones and to produce scientific studies and everything like that. I've never written like a scientific paper and had it published, but I don't know if you really make money from publishing a paper. Like you have that to add to your resume, I guess, unless you get paid by university to write the paper. It's not like, oh, if you just randomly write a fucking paper, you get paid $30 for it or something like that. The papers, the studies that are done cost money in order to get them done. Like you don't make money back from the paper being written or anything. Yeah, Robert Adset says publishing often costs money. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm fairly certain that you like that's a loss. Like you lose money when you do scientific studies, unless it's like in the pharmaceutical field or something like that. You're most likely not going to make your money back. I mean, you would be operating at a loss. So as far as like an investment or a money-making venture, just like scientific studies and finding dinosaur bones or producing these displays in museums, you're not making a lot of money there.
There are people who desire and crave prestige, fame, and attention. There is the bandwagon effect and crowd behavior.
Other than, now that I think of it, Alan from Jurassic Park and, what's his face? Jeff Goldblum's character. I can't remember his name right now in Jurassic Park. Ian Malcolm. Yes, thank you everybody in the chat. Ian, and he was a chaos theory guy, so he's not even these are all fictional people. Like I can't think of a paleontologist that's like reached like Neil deGrasse Tyson fame or anything like that. It's really funny coming from Eric Dubay saying all of this shit, because I mean, he produces his videos so that he will be well known. This entire video is just a mind fuck.
And then there are people and entities pursuing political and religious agendas, highly rewarding financial and economic benefits to museums, educational and research organizations, university departments of paleontology, discoverers and owners of dinosaur bones, and the book, television, movie, and media industries may cause sufficient motivations for ridiculing of open questioning and for suppression of honest investigation.
The Jurassic Park series started out with the old guy coming to these paleontologists, Alan, and the girl he was with at the time, being like, I will fully fund your dig for the next 4 years if you come and do this shit. And it's like, this is not a high-paying job. Whatever money they get, they sink into, excavations and like study and everything like that. You don't get paid a lot of money for doing paleontological work. Unless maybe if you're like a curator at a museum or something like that. But even then, you don't get paid like what an engineer would get paid. No, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that you don't paid a lot of money. But that's why if you want to do that kind of job, you have to really want to do that kind of job, because you're just not making the kind of money to be like, well, I would quit, but the money's too good.
The fact that T-Rex bones have sold at auctions for upward of $12 million shows how lucrative the field of dinosaur hunting can be. And it just happens to be museum officials who serendipitously seem to make the most prolific finds. The first dinosaur to ever be publicly displayed was the Hadrosaurus folki at Edward Drinker Cope's Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia. The bones were co-discovered by Joseph Leidy, Cope's esteemed professor, and the man responsible for the Trachodon Toothosaurus. The original Hadrosaurus reconstruction, which is still on display today, shows a huge plaster-cast bipedal reptile standing upright, using its tail as a third leg. What few people know, however, is that no skull was ever discovered and no original bones were put in the public exhibit. David Wasney wrote, "A visual and a sculptural artist were promptly hired to invent a skull, and from the illustrations of another artist, who had depicted the iguanodon, the two artists drew the same face for the Hadrosaurus folci. The people involved could now technically defend the existence of this dinosaur if someone were to ask. The stunt worked out so well and fooled the public so thoroughly that they could later change the head of the creature without anyone noticing. To this day, Hadrosaurus folci is on display at the Academy of Natural Sciences in Philadelphia."
There's actually been 3 full, Hadrosaurus skeletons found, and I've actually got it linked in the description. The most recent one found, I believe it was 2017 is when it was found. But the point is that Eric is lying here in that there's never been a full skeleton found. There have been. Also, there's been multiple individuals found that we could piece together and get a full picture of it. We've been able to identify multiple species inside that particular group or clade of dinosaurs. Given that we found at least 3 complete skeletons, which is very rare to find a complete skeleton, which complete in this case means 50% or more of the skeleton. The fact that we found these 3 and Eric still repeats this nonsense as if it were true just means that he's lying, or he's just too lazy to do actual research, which is kind of funny because he would have to do research in order to get the wrong information. So he selectively picked the wrong information to present to his audience, which is very disingenuous and makes me think that he's just straight up lying, or maybe he doesn't believe the contradictory evidence that he probably found in his research. So my guess is, overall, is that Eric Dubay is a lying son of a bitch. We found multiples of these particular dinosaurs. So also another thing that he pointed out here was the concepts or filling out of a dinosaur skeleton or whatnot just to give a complete skeleton. Supposing what the dinosaur looked like, or being able to figure out it probably had, if its legs were this thick, then it probably stood this tall and everything like that. You can figure out a lot of things just from a few pieces of bones. What he's saying here is he's making it sound like they just made up different attributes of a dinosaur, put it out there, and then regularly changed it. They probably did rework some of these skeletons. The fact that some dinosaurs had feathers on them is a complete reworking from how we understood them to exist before. It's based off of actual fossilized evidence, though.
The bones are said to be kept behind heavy closed doors, but a plaster copy is exhibited in their place.
Well, yeah, so generally the stuff that you see out on the floor is going to be plaster copies of the bones. I mean, they're not going to put actual dinosaur bones out on the floor for every sick kid to lick and touch and possibly knock over and shit. That's just it would be kind of stupid to put that out there on display. You would want to have that stuff locked up. Plus, like you said before, dinosaur bones are very expensive. I mean, if you stole a whole dinosaur skeleton, sure, you could sell that for probably a few million on a black market somewhere or something like that. But then it's kind of hey, Bill, why you got a Tyrannosaurus Rex in your living room?
So we learn of an iguana skull being substituted for the skull of a dinosaur on display. What was the public told at the time? What are we not being told today?
I don't know. I don't think that it's a matter of you're not being told something. For instance, the full dinosaur skeleton that I just talked about, the one that was recently uncovered, it was actually uncovered in 2013 or something like that, and it took several years to fully excavate it, clean off the bones, and actually get the study out and everything like that, and announce it and everything. So, I mean, what you're not being told, I don't think that there's anything that you're not being told. I think that there are things that you're just not researching.